By the end of this video, I want to be able to share some practical tips. We are already setting ourselves up to fail, disappear for a while, and come back transformed and a much better version of yourself. This will be a lot easier if you've already implemented some or all of the steps mentioned before. Let me give you some of my thoughts. The end of the year is fast approaching. Most people will be getting ready to unwind and spend some quality time with friends and family this holiday season. And 2026 is just around the corner. This is a time where we think about the year we've had and start to look ahead at the next. We reflect on the good memories we've had and also the ones we intend to learn from. For many of us, this activity may spark a desire to have some goals for the next year. A fresh start to change something that will help going forward. In a lot of cases, you may call that a New Year's resolution, something to start or stop doing in the name of personal improvement. Thinking about the fact that people will want to set goals for 2026, I came across a huge amount of data collected on New Year's resolutions over the last few years, and the results are discouraging to say the least. Anyone who was fired up to become a better version of themselves would only need to see a snapshot of some of these studies and quickly dismiss the idea, as they may feel like there is no point. Of course, we can't do that. We need to be able to set goals and be in a position to achieve them. Celebrate the success of improving ourselves and be motivated to keep going. Seeing the data made me want to look into this further and find out whether there is something we can learn from the last few years to allow us to have more success in 2026. I was hoping that there will be some simple changes we can make to our goal setting that will help us to achieve more and be happier because of it. After all, if you set out to improve yourself to feel better next year, the last thing you would want is to feel worse because you are struggling to stick to it. Talking about feelings, I hope you watched my last video, where I talked about some of the reasons why men may struggle to open up. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. My name is Bobby, and this is Real People, Real Talk. Let me start off by saying, I'm not an expert in goal setting or New Year's resolution. I'm just a real person in the real world. I am keen to explore this topic and share some thoughts and opinions in the hope that it may be helpful to others too. By the end of this video, I want to be able to share some practical tips that we can use to set goals for 2026 and have a better chance of achieving them. Let's get into some of this data. YouGov conducted a survey last year and found that over a quarter of the population in Britain planned to set goals for 2025 as part of a New Year's resolution. When the study was repeated recently, the number has reduced to 19% of people in Britain. One of the reasons for the decrease in resolution setting may be due to the fact that another study shows that 43% of those setting goals for the year give up by the time they get to February. 95% of the resolutions that are being set are generally fitness related. The study also showed only 10% of people thought it would last. In a study of around 800 million activities on the fitness app Strava, it predicted that nearly 80% of people who make a New Year's resolution will abandon it by January 19th. BetterHelp also published an article that found 77% of resolution makers kept their promise for 1 week, but only 19% of those maintained their goal at the 2-year mark. As you can see, the percentages are not really hope-inspiring for us if we are planning on making changes for 2026 in the form of a resolution. Let me be clear too. I am specifically talking about New Year's resolutions because of the fact that we are so close to 2026, and this is generally the time where we decide to switch things up. What we are talking about here is more than just about resolutions. It can be applied to general goal setting too. After all, the date doesn't matter. It's merely a decision to focus on personal development in some shape or form. I want to have a look at some of the reasons why we may be failing to achieve these goals, whether they are big or small. I think one of the best ways of doing that is to have an idea of what kind of goals are being set first. Here is a chart showing the most popular resolutions in 2025 in the United Kingdom, and one showing the same data for 2025 and 2026 in the United States. Both are very similar, and the top three are the same for both countries. And looking back at this, for the last 5 years, it has stayed pretty much the same. Now, what could be the reason for nearly 50% of people abandoning these goals after just a month or two of trying? Let me give you some of my thoughts. I think the first thing we need to consider is the root cause. Why are we setting the goal in the first place? Is it actually coming from a place where we are really wanting to achieve this thing? Or are we feeling pressure to do so? Do we feel that it seems like the right thing to do because others around us are doing it too? Remember, only 19% of people actually manage to maintain the change for 2 years. Therefore, if you don't fully believe it, most likely it will go out the window. The next thing I'm looking at is how vague these goals actually are. Eat healthier, get more exercise, or save more money are very broad things to say. They might sound right when thinking about a goal to set, but actually doing it becomes hard when there isn't really a defined plan. If it's been a tough day and you remember that you were supposed to be eating healthier, a lot of the time that may get pushed to the next day because it'll be so much more convenient to order something in quickly. Another big consideration is who you have in your corner. A lot of the time, we set personal goals for ourselves and may keep them to ourselves. This is not a major problem if you are good at holding yourself accountable to the promises you have made. However, with so many external factors influencing your decisions, it's good sometimes to have someone in your corner who will help you back on right track of your goals. One of my favorite things to look at is friction. How hard is it to carry out the action to get you closer to your goals? For instance, if we are planning on running from January onwards, we may be thinking about all the things we need to buy in order to start. The list might include some nice running shoes, the clothes we're going to wear, and maybe one of those clear pouches to go around your arm so you can take your phone with you. If the starting depends on these purchases, we are already setting ourselves up to fail. After all, if this part of your New Year's resolution, you have just come out of the holiday season and spent a lot of money on food, presents, and your favorite beverages. And lastly, I think about time. If we are starting something new like learning a new skill, some sort of exercise routine, or eating healthier, we are going to have to allocate time that we hadn't allocated before. I think that when we then look at the time we have before we need to do the next thing, we may again push the new activity to the mythical time of later, where we believe that at some point in the near future, there is going to be a slot available for us to start. Looking at these 5 considerations, it's not really a surprise that it becomes really tough to stick to your goals, especially if it feels like we were doing just fine prior to the decision of making the change. Let's now look at some examples of how these might stop you from getting to where you want to be. Root cause. This is really about motivation. One of our friends or family members may tell us that we really should eat less junk food. We then decide that come January, this is what we're going to do. However, if you enjoy eating junk food and you have a good metabolism, the junk food doesn't seem like it's doing anything to your weight, then there may be no real motivation to do anything about it. Change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than making the change. If, for instance, we went to the doctor and they took our bloods to tell us that our cholesterol level is high and something needs to be done in order to stay healthy, there's going to be much more motivation to stop eating junk food. Finding the root cause for the goal will help to bring the initial commitment to achieving the goal. The reason why this is important is because you may find that the root cause isn't driven by us, and therefore it may not be the right time to set this goal. If we don't believe in it, we cannot commit. Broad goals. The vagueness of our goals can have an impact in 2 ways. One is that we haven't got a clear plan as to what we are doing, so when we are in a situation where we have to decide whether to follow the goal or not, we may wait for another time where the conditions for us to take the actions are more favorable. The other impact is that it might be that the goal itself isn't realistic. If, for instance, the goal is to eat healthier, but we find ourselves out for dinner with friends, we may think to ourselves that these conditions are far from perfect, so best to start another day. When actually, what we could do is still enjoy the dinner with our friends, but choose something on the menu that is less calorific and get the best of socializing and the satisfaction of getting just one step closer to our goals. Also, one of the best ways to achieve your goals is to understand that it's more important to get back on track if you fall off than having the unrealistic expectation that you will never fall off. Your corner. I get it. Some personal goals you want to do and you want to get done in the shadows. Disappear for a while and come back transformed and a much better version of yourself. The truth is, this is hard. It gets lonely and dark. If, for instance, your goal is to lose some weight and you don't have anyone in your corner, you are more likely to give up when challenges come up. This is simply due to accountability. Nobody is checking your progress. It's easier to have a day off. Then it's 2 days, 3 days, and the next thing you know, we are right back where we started. Sometimes we are lucky that a friend or a family member will come on the journey with us because they may have the same goals. Remember, for both the US and the UK, the top 3 New Year's resolutions are the same. If we don't have that opportunity, we can still make a choice to tell someone that will simply check in on our progress and because of that, keep us on track. Friction. I love considering friction because it works both ways. Sometimes you can create friction to stop yourself from doing something you no longer want to do. And other times, you have to reduce friction to allow yourself to do the thing you want to do more of. A good example of creating friction is not having any unhealthy snacks in the house to stop yourself from reaching for them when you have decided to be healthier. An example of reducing friction is to get your workout clothes ready the night before so that you don't spend too much time on that in the morning and ultimately decide that there is not enough time now to complete the workout you wanted to do. When we understand the concept of friction, we can use it to our advantage in pursuing our goals. For instance, if we want to focus on a piece of work without distraction, we can just tell ourselves that we will not look at our phones. But all it really takes is for a juicy notification to come through, and you may pick up that phone to look at it. Once that's happened, you could then end up on your favorite social media platform for the next hour. To avoid this, rather than just saying we won't look at our phone, it would make more sense to not have the phone in the room. But if you do need to have it in the room, have it on Do Not Disturb. This creates friction for the bad habit that's taking you away from the goal. Time. Time is a huge part of achieving goals. When you're pursuing new goals, you have to allocate time that you would not have had to invest prior. The idea of going through your whole day and then push back your time to relax because there is another action to complete quickly becomes less appealing when you are in that moment. That additional workout will most likely not happen if the day was challenging or even slightly out of the ordinary. A similar example would be the goal of reducing ultra-processed food and having more home-cooked meals. Cooking needs some time allocated to it, and in the moment, it will feel a lot more convenient to order food in or opt for something that has already been processed heavily because it can be warmed up in the microwave in a few minutes. This is one of the main reasons why meal prep is so popular. Allocating all the time of the cooking to the weekend, where you have more time, removes the friction you feel in the week to maintain your progress to the goal. These were some of the main considerations and examples I could think of when planning this video. I'm sure many of you will have your own examples. Please share some of your thoughts in the comments. I know I will enjoy reading them, but I also think that your thoughts will be helpful for others watching this video, thinking about their own goals for the new year. Let me now leave you with a few simple steps that I think will help in staying on track to support the things we want to achieve going into 2026 and beyond. Number 1. Making sure I believe in the goal. Sometimes everything and everyone around us will tell us that something needs to change. Despite of this, we may still not be ready. We really need to understand and accept the pain of staying the same. If this hasn't happened yet, it may not be time yet. The plan is to set yourself up for success rather than fall into one of the statistics we shared earlier. Just because January is coming up doesn't mean you need a goal. You could choose to lose weight in March because you know you have a holiday coming up in February and you just want to indulge. Number 2. Being specific about the goal and also the plan. Lose weight is vague. Reduce my weight by 10 kg by the end of June is better. Reducing weight by 10 kg by the end of June and focusing on body composition so I can increase muscle mass and reduce body fat percentage is even better. Then the important part is how we will do it. And the plan should also be specific. I will eat more protein, go to the gym twice a week and hit 10,000 steps a day is a specific plan. This will also allow you to celebrate your successes along the way. If one day we only get to 9,300 steps, I promise you, you won't feel like falling off. You'll be more inspired to do more the next day. Number 3, pre-commitments. Telling someone about your goal will mean that there is a higher chance of sticking to it. If I told my wife that I was going to do a HIIT workout every weekday morning and then did not do it, not only will I have the thought of not having done it myself, I also put myself in a position where she may say, "Oh, I thought you were going to do a HIIT workout today." This is some good pressure to have on your side to help you stay focused on the goal. It will also help you to establish who is in your corner. Think about it. If we were struggling because we felt we couldn't find the time, the people in our corner can come in and support. My wife would say, "You do your HIIT workout, I'll oversee the kids getting ready for school." And all of a sudden, we are back on the right path. Lastly, there is time. There is no fancy way of putting this. We just have to make the time. This will be a lot easier if you've already implemented some or all of the steps mentioned before. But it just needs to happen. A few things to remember is that if you are occupied 9 to 5, you have 5 to 9 opportunities to focus on your goals. 5 to 9 in the morning is a fantastic time to do the hard things because then they are done and out of the way. There'll be no anxiety cost of still having to do those things. When you have the 5 to 9 in the evening, for those of us who prefer that time, to learn to do things like Spanish, do creative writing, or plan that side hustle we have been thinking about. Another thing to remember is that some things do take a lot of time, so we have to be realistic about when we are going to achieve our goals. If you're really busy with work and life and can only allocate 45 minutes a day to achieving your goal, then be honest with yourself that it will take longer than just 6 months. Otherwise, you will get to 6 months and most likely want to give up. Greatness takes time. When we reach the destination depends on how much time we put in. If we can't put in as much as we want to, we should still put in as much as we can. A little bit closer every day is still a win. The Clips took nearly 15 years to put out their album this year. Dave took nearly 5 years to put out his album this year. Both are arguably the best albums of the year. How long it takes doesn't matter as long as we are building that wall brick by brick. There you have it. As I said, the new year is approaching fast, and I'm sure even if we haven't branded it as a New Year's resolution, there will be something we will want to achieve or change going forward. If any of this has been helpful, please let me know by liking this video. And please, don't forget to subscribe. I aim to continue bringing you more videos in the new year. That's my pre-commitment. Subscribing is the #1 way you can support my goal, and it will really help for this channel to continue to grow. I am keen to continue putting in the time for it. Thank you for watching and for your support this year. I really appreciate it. I wish you all a restful, festive period and a happy and healthy new year. My name is Bobby, and this is Real People Real Talk. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in 2026.